This metallic paint dry brush technique is so easy and it looks good every single time. This will make your paper mache figure sculpture go from pretty cool to wow. Once your paper mache figure has completely dried, you are going to take a newspaper and cover your table so it's not messy, and you need black acrylic paint, a paintbrush, and a cup of water. I recommend not starting with the base so that you can hold on to it. You're gonna put one coat of acrylic paint on the whole thing, and you can use your paintbrush to kind of thin and water the paint down. It takes a little bit of time, and because this is a 3D surface, it is hard to get in the cracks and crevices, so hold it by the base and turn and rotate as you go. Let's speed things up a little bit. This is your base coat, and unfortunately, you have to wait for it to be 100% dry, like this, before you do the metallic dry brush. Once it is completely dry, select one color, and you're gonna use an old paintbrush, a paintbrush that's okay for it to have a bad hair day. As the name implies, your paintbrush is gonna be dry. Not just dry without water, but very little paint. Wipe on, wipe off. And with very little paint, you are going to dry brush all over your sculpture, and you're leaving the black base showing, but the metallic paint is gonna highlight your textures and your three-dimensional sculpture. You're gonna be a little rougher on your paintbrush than you're probably used to. That's why I only use old brushes for this technique. Also, this isn't a flat piece of paper, it is a three-dimensional sculpture. And so you're gonna be pressing the brush into your sculpture, and you're using such little paint, it's easier to go back and add more than it is to paint the whole thing black and start over. So my rule is less is more. You can always go back and add a second coat or even some highlights to emphasize certain areas. My favorite paint brand for this is the Chroma Molten Metals Acrylic, and I get the set of 6. If you get the 4-pack, it's your basic metallic colors like copper, bronze, silver, and gold, but the 6-pack has this extra kind of pinkish copper color, and students love it. And they can't go wrong. All of your metallic colors are going to work well together. So when I show you my second layer, which I'm about to show, it doesn't matter what you pick as long as you like the two colors together. You've already done so much hard work, paper macheing, painting your sculpture black. It does not take long for this to look awesome. I like to give my students a second option of adding a second accent color. And I'm gonna be using this really bright gold, and I'm using the same dry brush, and this is the less dominant color. So I'm just putting a little bit over my first layer. I like to think about if my sculpture was sitting in an art museum or an art gallery, what would I want my viewer to notice first, or what do I want to emphasize? And I think about a light shining on the best parts of my sculpture. And that is a really nice way to think about adding highlights or a second metallic accent color to your work of art. Voila! My tinfoil and newspaper sculpture all of a sudden looks super expensive and super fancy. This acrylic dry brush technique is fail-safe. You cannot mess it up. If you like what you see or want more art tutorials, please subscribe. I upload as often as I can. And if you're an art teacher or you teach art classes, check out my website, thatartteacher.com, for full lesson plans and student examples.